Hi, it's Lois here and welcome back. Today I'm going to be painting another beach scene. I think I'm getting a hankering to go down for a beach walk, so I think as I'm quite busy today I shall paint one instead. I'm going to wet the paper, the sky all over and a little bit down towards the front, so I've just got a little bit of variation at the front with some hard and soft edges. A little bit of raw sienna first, and then I've now got a mixture of burnt umber, couldn't remember it for a little while, Prussian blue, and a little bit of indigo, and quite a lot of the burnt umber because I want a sort of a brownish cast to the blue. I want to sort of soften that blue sky and not have it as a sort of bright blue sky, but just a fairly muted sky. To stop the paint from completely running down, just tilt the board slightly, tilt it and tip it, maybe at a slight angle, watching how the paint and water is flowing until you get it looking to the sort of look that you like, the sort of angle that you would like the clouds to be flowing in, so to speak. And wet in wet painting is such a unique method. No two paintings will be the same at this stage, so it's a matter really of looking at it, seeing whether you want to maybe lighten a little bit like I am here, or add more paint to the top like I did earlier, and then just add a bit more to the foreground. Just going to put a bit more of the same sort of colours across the foreground. I don't want it too strong. I want this to be, as I said earlier, a fairly muted wash, both sky and sea. I just quite like the look of that. I think that's looking quite interesting. Turning it on its side again, just to encourage a sort of horizontal flow of the beach area and the sea area. I think that's okay, so I'm going to lay it flat and let it dry. Okay, I'm back now and it's dried and I'm having a look at it, and I think what I'm going to do is along there I'm going to see if I can put in a sort of a headland on that side. Now I'm taking a ruler, and while I'm not going to paint directly on the ruler, I'm just going to use the ruler as a guide to kind of get a fairly straight bottom edge to my headland, and so that I can keep it nice and narrow. The ruler kind of is sort of almost a psychological help more than anything, because I know without it my line will be wiggly and my headland just wouldn't look right. Okay, I think that looks all right. Just maybe just a little bit more with the flat brush, just so that it peters out into the distance in a more gradual way. Now a little bit of raw sienna on the Harkey brush, just across that little white area below the headland, because that's excuse me, that's an ideal place just to put in a little bit of distant beach, just going out of the picture. Just put a little bit of dark indigo, just run that into the wet paint there, just to give it a little bit of variation. Now, just using the same colours, I'm going to dry brush and detail the beach in the foreground. And when I say detail, I just mean I'm going to make lots of marks to indicate sort of seaweed, shingle, pebbles, sand, that sort of thing. Just keeping it very, very loose so that the eye can recognise it and the brain recognises it as a beach, but without too much detail. Trying to keep the whole painting loose and fairly impressionistic. Right, I'm just using my very large Chinese Harkey brush just because it's there, to pull across some sort of dry brush marks across the sea area, and then just play around with that and sort of soften it off a little bit with the smaller Haki brush. Just straighten it out across near the horizon, and then I'm just going to muck about with it till I get the sea area looking how I want it. Maybe some slightly darker paint, that's indigo, going in there. And I think I'll change to the 3/4 inch flat brush with indigo again, just to get some narrower lines on top of the work that I've already done with the Haki brush, just to indicate the suggestions of waves and ripples. Now I think I just need to darken up the beach in the foreground just a little bit. Just tweak it until I feel that it sort of looks in balance with the rest of the painting. Maybe sort of dab a little bit out here and there too. Just playing around until it looks right, and then maybe taking a card, just doing a little tiny bit of scraping out to indicate maybe some rocks and stones and pebbles, and just to give extra texture to the foreground really. Well, I think we're getting there now. Let's zoom in, and you can see the sort of marks that we've made from the scraping out with the card, and how the headland is looking and the beach. I squeezed out all the water from the flat brush. I'm just going to see if I can pull out some paler lines in the distance, horizontal lines, just to maybe add to that sense of aerial perspective and recession a little bit, lifting out some colour. It's not having too much effect. See if I can lift out some for the waves and things. It's not really working. I think what I'm going to have to do is go in with some white gouache here. Now the first layer of white gouache I'm putting in where the paint is already wet, in the hope that it will sort of diffuse a little bit and give me the base for my breaking waves and sea foam. Just dot it around along the water line. I'm just going to sort of, excuse me, dab out a little bit of the white gouache. It's diffusing in quite nicely, but now it needs a little bit more definition, so I'm going to take some of that nice dark indigo and just pop some indigo in and around the wet gouache, around the edges more than anything, and the base, just to give some sort of more depth and shadows to the water and the waves as they break against the shore. And I'll just see if using some indigo on the rigger brush just gives me a little bit more looseness to the top line of the breaking waves. And while we've got the indigo on the rigger, I'm going to put in some seagulls. Just have them flying over the crest of the wave, because of course the wave crest really is our focal point in this picture, and with the birds above the wave crest and the sort of direction of the sky and clouds are all leading us, the eye, down towards the wave crest, so I think we'll do that with the birds. If you put them on a little bit too dark, you could always gently dab them off, and if you dab off too much, you can go back in with a little bit more paint as well. It's just like the finishing touches now. I'm going to put a few horizontal, just very fast scribbly lines, just to add a little bit more texture and variation to the look of the waterline there. And lastly, now that it's a little bit drier, I'm going to put some very thick tube consistency white gouache on the end of this bristle brush and just sort of stipple in some splashes of water just for a final effect, and I think that looks rather effective. And I think that's it. I think we're finished. I think we've got a finished painting, and I think it looks rather nice. I think there's quite a lot of light. The sky is interesting. There's movement to the clouds. There's certainly movement to the water and the crashing waves with the white gouache that we've used. Well, I hope you enjoy that, and I do hope you'll give it a go and let me know in the comments how you get on, and also if you've got any questions. Please like and subscribe, and if you like what you see, why not follow the link in the description and come and join us in our lovely Patreon group. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.